Hello, Bill Shaka here. Welcome to another edition of the 5 Minute Motivator. Welcome to Tamarindo, Costa Rica. And before we get into the session, I'd like to at least address an email that I got yesterday. An individual said to me, why aren't you using your real name, Biagio? It's such a beautiful name, and you seem to be embarrassed of your Italian/Sicilian heritage. Anything could be further from the truth. Fact of the matter is that I use Bill because, first of all, William is my middle name, is Biagio William Shaka. Secondly, I understood at a very young age that the whole world was not Italian, and they had no ability, many people have no ability to pronounce either my first name, my real first name, or my last name. I remember sitting in a biology class as a freshman in college, and this is back in the mid-'70s, and the professor, great guy, Polish guy, Mincavage, Dr. Edmund Mincavage, he was taking roll for the first day, so he was trying to call last names, and he got to my name, and he said, Saik, Suyok, Sia, and he looked up and he laughed and said, I can't pronounce your last name, let me go to your first name, and he looked at it and said, Baye, Bia, Bayo, and then he looked at my middle name and said, is William here? And that's when I started to understand that it's rather difficult for a lot of individuals to pronounce the old Sicilian dialect. I mean, we came in from Ellis Island unscathed. It's the exact names that we had in Sicily. So anyway, that's why I use Bill, just because it's easy. But if you'll notice on all of my documentation, I do have Biagio. I'm not embarrassed for my Italian heritage. I embrace it, as a matter of fact. And I love cooking Italian. Come to Costa Rica. I'll make a lasagna for you that'll kick your ass. Anyway, I'd like to talk today about Picasso and the value of time, this new time management system. Picasso was sitting at a bar, at least this is the way the urban legend goes. He was sitting at a bar and having a drink, and somebody came in and said, aren't you Pablo Picasso? And he said, yes, I am. And they had a brisk conversation for a minute or two, and she said, please do me a favor, draw something for me on the back of a bar napkin. And he took a bar napkin and he drew this little bird or dove or whatever it was, and he handed it to her. And she said, oh my goodness, that's beautiful. How much should I pay you for that? And he said, $10,000. And she looked at him and said, $10,000? She said, but it only took you a minute to draw it. And he looked at her and said, yeah, I know, but it took me 15 years to learn how to do that. Now, I'd like you to think about that story and put it in a modern context. That is really the value of time. How we approach time is not so much in terms of the situation in front of us, but it's in terms of our resources that we have to apply to that situation. That really is an interesting way of looking at time. Now, I will tell you personally, as somebody who's been teaching time management for over 30 years, it's changing how we value time. I look at time more now as the big nuggets that have to be addressed. So, for example, and not even necessarily the big nuggets, the more important nuggets that have to be addressed. If there are a bunch of rocks on the top of a mountain and I'm looking to cause an avalanche, I can go on the top of those rocks and I can start trying to move them and cajole them and do different things. Or I can find that little rock that's holding everything. And once I find that little rock, I can move it and the avalanche starts. The point is this: how much time did it take if I was up on top trying to move every single rock versus planning and organizing and thinking about which rock has to be moved to cause the result that I'm looking for? That's the virtue of this new time management. It's not so much that it took Picasso a minute to draw it. It took him 15 years to learn how to do it. You think about that today, ladies and gentlemen, and I guarantee you, you will have a different approach to how you manage time. Bill Shaka, thanking you for attending another edition of the 5 Minute Motivator. Looking forward to seeing you in the next. Bye.